Welcome to the 35th episode of the BDE Sports Talk podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bill, along with the D and E of the BDE, Dean and Eddie. Dean, welcome back. You were on assignment last week. How did that assignment go?
Went good. We were overseas for a little while, but we're back now, baby. We're back.
Brought it back home, baby.
brought it home. You know, I brought her home.
Oh, good. Glad to have you back. Eddie, you're looking good as always. Dean, you look good.
Can't be undone.
Thanks. I got it myself.
Yeah, it looks great.
Same as this shirt. I got it myself.
That's right.
I like that.
From Santa.
A little natural. A little natural. It was a Christmas gift. It tells you what people think about me. Best we can do, Natty Light shirt.
Natty Light shirt and a 30-pack
I love
of
it.
Natty
I
Ice.
do. I love it. I do really enjoy it.
That eagle is
Obviously.
majestic.
I wouldn't wear it if I didn't like it. So
Super patriotic. It's a July 4th shirt.
no, I'm all about America. I'm all about Natty Light.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching this week's episode. Remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Somebody say hi. Please.
Oh, we had people saying hi.
We did on Facebook.
Yeah.
Which we do have a Facebook page. If you didn't know that already, just look up BDE Sports Talk Podcast and we'll get to that. But first, Dean, how was your weekend? We said it last week. It's kind of weird when you're not here because you always have something to bring up.
Somewhat interesting. I've got a couple of weird things that I explored over the weekend.
Gerbils. Heard of them?
And where don't they go? Let me tell you. Or where do they go?
Nobody knows.
Well, over the weekend, I went to the casino to watch a game with a buddy. And
do you have to shower before they go?
Yeah. Not usually. They're like it dirty. Got pretty hammered on Sunday night. So that was fun. That was fun. It was funny because we were at the cabaret bar and they had the game on the TVs or whatever, and I go, I'm gonna go up and get us a beer, and we were sitting in the back already, and there was this lady at a table by herself, and this other really old lady had pulled up a chair because she was trying to see the TVs as well. She pulled it up next to Taylor essentially. She's talking to us all crazy. And I was like, hey man, I'm gonna go grab us a beer. So I got up and I come back to the table or to where we were sitting, and my chair is now directly behind the lady that was sitting at the table, and the two old ladies are talking, and Taylor's just sitting this. These two old ladies, he's I'll get up, you can sit over here, and she's like, no, I don't want to. He's just in the middle of these two old ladies barking at each other. Oh, that was funny.
They call that the old double grilled cheese.
Smells like Limburg.
Do they have any of those at the buffet?
Huh?
Do they have grilled cheese at the buffet?
We didn't go to their buffet.
Clearly what I'm referencing. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're telling me you went to the casino on a Sunday and you didn't do the surf and turf buffet?
It was closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Surprisingly, I thought it would be open, but it wasn't. I did get a chicken fingers basket, and they gave me 15 chicken fingers though in the basket.
Oh, dude, I bet that waitress was into you, bro.
Oh,
she's like, give him the extra fingers.
All of them.
Not the only time you've ever heard that.
No, I've heard they want more fingers. But there was a couple of interesting things that I had heard or had seen over the weekend. There's this thing going on called hot betting, where people are they're renting out half of their bed to people, and it's non-sexual and everything like that. It's just for you to sleep there. It's $160 a week. to sleep in their bed, and like I was like, I don't know how I I don't know if that's like weird. Like I was watching this video of this girl talking about it. She's like, it's completely, I was celibate for 2 years and this and that. She's like, and so I knew I had like the control and all this stuff. I was like, geez.
Oh, she had the control.
Yeah, well, yeah, who knows? I mean, she was British. I don't know if that means anything. But yeah, so I guess that's like becoming, she's thinking about like starting a company because like she started it during COVID and she's made like a ton of money doing it. So I'm
I
like,
bet.
is it prostitution?
I bet she has.
Yeah, so that was
It's called
that
a
was interesting. I don't
pimp.
know. I thought that was weird. Like, I don't know. Would you ever do that for a little extra cash on the side? Just she's like,
Would
it's
I
just
do?
dead
Oh,
space.
I would
Nobody's
make the
using it.
cash.
Yeah, they're
Feel like I'm
paying you
robbing them blind
to
at that point.
to just sleep in on the other side of your bed.
I mean, I would. Yeah, I mean,
160 a week. They're just in the house all the time. Just all right, man. You heading to bed soon or what?
probably
All
have
right,
to wait
bro.
I'll probably have to wait till my kids have moved out of the house. But I mean, if somebody just wants to sleep on the other side of the bed for 160, I mean, I wouldn't do it every night.
Well, it's per week, so you'd have to at least
Oh,
do it for
160 a week?
Yeah, a week.
That's
well, I mean,
not enough.
you're renting half a bed. You're not
That's
like,
not enough.
like
for
renting
me.
a bedroom. Isn't that wild though? I don't know. I don't think I'd ever be comfortable with that.
It's $22 a night.
That's really not that. It's not that bad. Plus, she's getting hot. No. That's really why she made a bunch of money. But and then I saw this other thing of this guy. He's suing like a Dunkin' Donuts, his local Dunkin' Donuts, because he went into the bathroom and the toilet exploded. And so he's suing Dunkin' Donuts for like emotional damage and like just it's like dude, he just like came out of the bathroom like covered in feces and it was like, what do you guys help me? And they're like, oh, we knew that was a problem. We just haven't gotten around to it. He's just covered in.
Dude, no.
Could you imagine just going to the bathroom like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. And then the toilet just bursts on you. You're just covered in it now. At Dunkin' Donuts in the
I'd
bathroom.
be like, well, I usually have to pay 160 a week for this. Dude, unbelievable. I'd be irate. You kidding me? I'd be like, no, I'm gonna hug you here in a second if you don't help me.
I was surprised.
I'm going to get it everywhere. I'm dunking this on all the donuts.
He's only suing him for $100,000. I figure you could, from a major corporation, you get way more than $100,000.
Dude, you got to
for
start
that.
way higher. If you're ready to take 100, start way higher.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Right? I was like, that's wild that you would.
It almost feels like it's partially his fault.
Well, I think what really did it was the employees told him that it had already been like an issue in the past. They just hadn't
Before he
fixed
went
it.
in?
Yeah. They knew something was wrong with the toilet beforehand. So it's
Gotcha.
like, if you already knew something was up, and I wonder if it had exploded before, and they're just you know? And somebody's had to clean up feces
I'd have to go
in a
pretty
public
bad.
restroom, and it's not fun.
Dude, that's
So-
crazy.
But yeah, no, those are the couple things
Somebody
that
help
stand out.
me.
Yeah, could you imagine just coming out of the Dunkin' Donuts bathroom just covered in shit? And just like,
I'm a chocolate frosted.
you look at the employees. Can somebody help me? And they're like, no.
Nah,
outta here.
man. No.
Get outta here.
You gotta go. You gotta go. What are you?
Got to.
There's no. No, dude. No.
Just sit back down in the booth, just covered in shit.
Put some sprinkles on me.
Some sprinkles. Is that corn?
We don't sell that here.
Halloween themed.
It's not candy. But yeah, that was my weekend. Those are the things I saw over the weekend.
Eddie, what about you?
Dude, that's crazy. No, not a lot going on last weekend. I mean, obviously had the wrestling tournament. Bill came up for that. Kids did great. That was cool. Obviously watched a lot of football. I was one Montgomery touchdown away from winning some real cash, but it's all right.
Sorry.
Won like $40 on the Chiefs game after, but it wasn't the same. You know, it's a little different on another team. One thing that came across, something I saw on the news, it was regarding snoring, and we all snore, right? I mean, I would assume. I know I've had my bouts of snoring before. Bill at one point had a CPAP, I believe. Maybe he didn't want me to say that.
I only really snore when
you did at one point.
When I'm
drunk. I was
probably,
gonna go in for a
sound like
sleep
a
study myself, but I was too cheap to dish out the $500 I had to pay out of pocket for the sleep study. So I was like, yeah, I'll be all right. You know, turns out, dude, when I lost the weight that year, I stopped snoring a lot less. Yeah. Apparently that had a big factor. I'm probably snoring a bit more again, but you know,
it plays a role.
I probably need a sleep study now. But you know, you got to be careful, dude, with your snoring volume. This caused a feud between a couple guys in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys see anything about that, but so one neighbor was obviously very upset. They must live in an apartment or a duplex because he could hear him through the wall. So the one guy was super mad because he said this has been going on for years. And they've had an issue about this over and over again. And the snorer, the person who was snoring actually figured out a way to like stop the feud. It kind of happened crazily because one evening the aggrieved neighbor was actually being kind of weird and like went to talk to the snorer through their window, but like popped open like an unlocked window in that person's part of the house to talk to them. And I guess they were chatting, and the person who was upset said that they wanted to make amends. Like they talked because he was mad. But this guy was eating. This wasn't like in the middle of the night. It was actually while the guy was eating dinner, the snorer.
Okay.
So he wasn't even asleep. But so the guy comes over and he pops the screen window open, whatever, and they're talking through the window.
And like the first floor. Is this an apartment complex?
It has to be. I didn't see what it was.
Was he just dangling off the edge of the building, just popping open window? Just like, his first floor? Like, what's going on? He's like, hey man, like I'm just coming in. Like, what the fuck?
But the guy who was upset, I guess they talked for a while. The guy who was upset said he was willing to make amends. He wanted to come in and shake hands. He would even pay for like corrective surgery to like help with the snoring.
That's serious for him, huh?
Yeah, it was that serious. So the snorer figured it out. Like he had the guy come in to talk about it, and then he stabbed him to death.
Oh shit.
He stabbed him to death.
Oh, I guess that problem was solved for that
the
guy.
The feud is over.
He stabbed the snorer to death?
No, the snorer stabbed the other guy.
He's like, my snoring might bother you, but you freaking coming around.
You know how annoying you are?
He's like, I want to kill you, and I think I'm going to.
Dude, at least I'm in my sleep when I'm bothering you.
Yeah, you popped in through my window on the third floor of this apartment complex.
I mean, you guys, you have very close neighbors. I mean, maybe get that CPAP back out, man. I mean, or stab somebody.
Maybe for the people in the apartment.
Dude, I was just like, that blew me away because the way I read the story originally was I thought the upset person killed the snorer, but it was a snorer. Once he let the guy in the house, he's like, he attacked me, so I stabbed him to death. Crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
No more snoring.
I didn't know that was going to turn that way.
I tried to tell it in a way.
I was going to give him
see that coming.
Yeah,
it was good storytelling.
So what you're saying is I'm good.
You should be, but it could turn either way. I'm just concerned.
Kate
all.
says I'm not as loud as I used to be.
She's numb to it, Bill. She's numb to it.
That's possible.
It is, you know, she's not wrong though. It is better than it used to be, but it still has its moments.
Aggrieved neighbor.
Aggrieved in apartment neighbor. Trying to stab
Bill,
somebody.
Bill, you're gonna offer to make amends with Bill, and then he stabs you to death.
He stabs you to death. Crawl over the island in the middle of the kitchen. Like, hey man, like let's go.
He's like,
I'll pay for any corrective surgery that you need.
Dude, insane.
That's wild.
I was like, wow, I
That's
didn't see that
absolutely
coming.
wild.
I like you said, Friday, I went to the wrestling tournament. Good to see a bunch of people I haven't seen in a long time. It was, you know, I texted you, Eddie. It was kind of surreal to be back there after a long time, you know, 10 plus years at least. And so Saturday, we went to dinner at the Melting Pot, which is a fondue place.
Oh, love that place.
Oh man, it was awesome. It was expensive,
It is.
but
yeah.
but it was very good. I don't really have a lot as far as weekend updates go, but like, want to give a raving review.
Do they give like what do you order there? Like if it's a fondue plate, do they just give you stuff and you just dip it in some cheese, or like what's going on?
Okay, so initially I thought it was just like you just dip different things in chocolate.
Yeah. Like here's some bread.
Know. Right.
Dip it in this
No,
chocolate.
you cook a few things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
they give you like
so you pick a cheese that you want.
Yeah.
And then they bring it out, they mix it up in this thing, and you got a little heater in the front. And then they give you, like you said, a bunch of like random things to dip it in. Pretzel bite, like a couple pretzel bites, but bread and apples. Like I don't know, we
say
chose a few.
it's a good combo is cheese and apples.
It wasn't.
Some people like.
And some people, yeah. And then you got to pick a salad, and then you picked what
you dip that in cheese also.
You picked your entree, which it was like different types of meat. So it could be like land and sea, or it's all steak, or it's like a mixture of both. And then you choose the cooking style, and like it's kind of like a broth. So like they have, I think Kate and her friend had like mushroom and something else. You know, it was a mixture of stuff. It didn't taste like mushroom. It was just added to the flavor. And my friend and I, Donnie, put it was called mojo, and it was like a citrusy with cilantro, and it was awesome. It was awesome. But all you do is just put it's raw meat too. That's what threw me off, because I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Again, I thought this was like chocolate.
Well, let you cook it to your
to
your liking. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just stick it in there, let it cook, and
I was hoping you'd say you just ate it raw. Like you're just like, I don't know. I mean, we should just
just a quick dip.
Like, is this how you're supposed to eat this? Like, oh, it's chicken, man. Like, calm down.
I haven't been there in like probably 5-6 years. It was a Valentine's thing. They had a nice Valentine's setup thing going on. It was pretty cool, man. I mean, it's pricey, obviously, but I mean, it's good.
Yeah, no, and then you got your chocolate at the end, and you had to choose what chocolate you get to do. And yeah, it was really good. I really had a good time too. It was cool. So now, besides that, not a lot. Eddie, we talked about it last week a little bit. I told you to look into it, and when I sent the breakdown, Dean said you said you had this on your list too. Was the Miami Aliens, the new expansion team down in Miami?
Yeah, the new expansion team.
Did you look into that at all?
I looked into it. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw some.
So.
I got a
conspiracy or
as a
something
sixth.
to it?
So
I mean, if you're asking me,
I'm asking
I mean,
both of you.
I don't know, man. I'll let you guys get into it, but
well,
go ahead.
when I was I watched like a video on it, right? And
Mhm.
so like people like running like because if you watch like the helicopter video or whatever, people are just scattered and like running and like there's literally like every cop in the city is there like parked like out front or whatever, and like the cops are all saying that they were just there to break up a fight between a big group of kids, which is
Right.
like, why did you need every single cop in the city there for a group of kids? And there were kids fighting. Like that's not. I'm not saying that's not true, but then like there's people like that were running. The people that were running that they interviewed saying that they I mean they're saying they saw like aliens, but they were like coming out of portals
Right.
and then like disappearing, and then they'd reappear like closer to them, and this was multiple people that said that. And I thought that's pretty freaking wild. Like, I mean, I don't know if it. I mean, who knows? In the heat of the moment with things like that. And then, but you said something about a conspiracy. I don't know. I don't want to take away all the thunder, but
No, you're good.
I did watch a whole thing on.
Yeah, no, I'm curious.
So there's this conspiracy of like the UN and whatever, staging like a alien invasion to like have somebody become like a hero, almost like so that way everybody could unite, like the world can unite under one thing, like one person, like almost worship, almost like an antichrist type of thing.
Yeah.
So like because somebody came in, like if there was an alien invasion per se, and somebody came in and saved all of us, we'd all be like,
Krypton?
we love this guy. You know what I mean? Like he's great.
Yeah,
You know what
Superman.
I mean? Like if Superman came down and saved us, you know what I mean? We'd be like, he's fantastic. Like you know what I mean? Like, thank
Yeah, I dare you to
Superman.
tell him he's not.
Yeah. He'll hear you if you don't too, because he's got that super
Yeah,
ear.
exactly.
So and that's one of the conspiracies I heard, is that's what they're trying to stage something like this, so that way
Wild.
they can try to like not necessarily create the end, but just to have everybody under one rule, like the whole world under one rule.
Like a one world government,
Yeah, like a one world government essentially.
which is
I don't think that's possible, but I mean, if something like that were to happen and George Bush comes out and saves the world, I guess we're all gonna love George Bush after that, I guess.
That's true. He's
So-
the guy.
No, it'd probably be like The Rock or something.
so.
Rock giving aliens the people's elbow.
Rock bottom to some aliens.
Oh, right in the slobber knocker. JR's just sitting
Just
in
an
the
alien,
back.
He's
He's
right-
just an alien.
He's mall side, just calling the action.
Yeah, he's small side. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. That because there's different sides to it too. Because it's like it feels like people are saying like the cops are like covering it up, but like were they just there for that one specific reason? Just didn't see anything. And then there's like
Right.
videos of like you can see like shadowy figures, like I don't know, like popping in and out,
Well,
but how they can alter that stuff.
it can go both ways, right? So like you see the one side where, like you said, the police and how they said they're breaking up a fight, and there was no aliens, and the reason why all the cops were there was because they called it like a citywide 3, and then because they couldn't contain the situation. But then, like you said, there's multiple people who witnessed this, right? And so I did a little, also not conspiracy theory, but like people who have kind of looked into this. And this person said, so they said the airspace wasn't closed. It was. And it come to find out it was closed at that time. Like there's video evidence to show that they closed that airspace. And then they said the power didn't go out. It did. They said several officers responded. The entire department turned out 68 cars and 3 helicopters.
for
for
a
those
mall fight for
mall
a
fight.
group of kids fighting.
And now on the other side of that, they also said that there was a report of an active shooting, but which would people have said that would explain why people were running, right? But it also doesn't debunk the fact that multiple people said they saw this. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just going to be like, oh, well, you know, I ran from an active shooter, but I saw 3 dark aliens coming at me. You know what I mean? Like, so
You never know. You know, people they seek this stuff out too. You know what I mean? Like, but at
Yeah,
the
but
same
it's
time, it wasn't just like one group of people they approached. It was like multiple different people that said the same thing. So that's where
So-
you're like, you know, like, did they group together beforehand? You know, like just like
Right.
100 of them grouped together, like almost like a flash mob. They're like, all right, everybody, this is the plan. We just start running, and then we tell them this once they catch us. You know what I mean?
So I haven't seen this footage, but supposedly there's actual mall security camera footage as well as cell phone footage from inside the mall that shows a portal, like you said, appearing in the center of the mall, and tall black clad figures climbed out.
And you're gonna roll that footage right now.
Find it.
Bottom right, left,
And
See,
whatever.
yeah, so I won't go through this whole thing, but so there's that end of it, and then, like I said, there's the part where the police is like, there's no such thing. So interesting stuff, right? Because there's no footage of, I mean, at least I haven't seen of. They said, from what I've heard, is that this the footage of the kids fighting is not even from the same day. It's like from a
Really?
different day.
See, but here's the one thing that throws me off with that whole thing is that there isn't any footage of the aliens and stuff, because like in this day and age everybody's recording everything, and it's wild to think that not one person recorded that while it was happening. You know what I mean? Like, I get like you're petrified for your life, but
Well,
you've
supposedly
seen
there
this stuff
was.
before, right? And then
well,
so
you
it's
could
like,
say that about
none of this-
anything.
Right.
So,
So-
it's like, who knows, man?
No, I was looking into that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm somebody, before I say it, I definitively believe that there's other beings out in the universe.
Yeah.
It's
I
such
can't
huge, how-
prove it, but
Right.
I mean, just in a general thought is like there's so much out there that it's crazy to think that there's not another, like that's a pretty general take.
Mhm.
And it's hard to wrap my mind around not having it be that way. I don't know if this was the case. I know you said there was active shooter. When I was looking into it today, people were saying there was, it was some people threw fireworks out or something. So like that could easily cause people to believe there's an active shooter situation. I think that would easily bring that many cop cars to the situation, especially in this day and age. Like, you don't want to be the police department that didn't respond with everything
Right.
to active shooters, especially if they're saying there's multiples and whatever.
Right.
So the response doesn't surprise me either way. Like, obviously, if they're like, "Hey, we got the aliens here," they're gonna show up. And if it's multiple people shooting, they're gonna show up.
Right.
And so, with that, I don't really know. I didn't see anything that on the limited videos I watched today on it. I didn't see anything. I was like, oh, for sure, one way or the other. So, in general, I think it was more of a scare than a alien portals in the mall. But I don't totally not believe it either. I mean, it could happen. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess,
Right.
if it did happen. I hope it's not, because that changes our whole world.
Right.
And where do we go from there if that's what they're doing now?
John Cena.
Yeah, it's gonna take Cena because they can't see him, dude, and he can take him down.
I can't see him.
So yeah,
So-
I mean that's where I'm at on that. So
Wild, man.
Yeah, no, interesting stuff. I mean, regardless,
yeah,
I love a good conspiracy theory. I
Neuralink.
do. Hey, that's not a conspiracy. That's a real thing. Okay, that's a real thing.
Well, speaking of real things, the dream is getting closer to reality with the Detroit Lions. Detroit wins on Sunday, and wow, right? Wow. 31-23 at Ford Field. They move on to the NFC Championship. Real quick, I'll throw some stats out there. Eddie, I'm going to be I don't know if you have them. I'm sure you do. I'm interested to see what the PFF grades are, because the
I
only
got the
one
top 5 for each group. Yeah.
The only one I really saw was Taylor Decker. I think he was like a 93.5 or 92.6.
I know Sewell had the highest like offensive line rating like ever in like a game or whatever.
But we'll leave that to Eddie.
I mean, everybody can talk about it.
No, I'm just
I don't own them. I just bring them up every time.
Baker Mayfield was 26 of 41, 349, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Let's see here. Rashad White, 9 carries, 55 yards. Mike Evans, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Cade Otton, 5 catches. Sorry, they have targets first. 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. For the Lions, another good day for Jared Goff, 30 of 43, 287, and 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 carries, 74 yards, and a Barry-like touchdown, I like to say. He's every week. I just feel like he just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
Dave Montgomery, 10 carries, 33 yards. Amon-Ra, another great game, 8 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Reynolds, 2 catches, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Pick for Gardner Johnson, pick for Derek Barnes. Dean,
Winning.
yeah, game winning. Dean, I'll let you start with your thoughts, and we will go from there.
Yeah, I like you said with like Gibbs being like Barry, in a sense, like I agree with that, like where nobody's ever gonna be Barry Sanders again, especially in today's football. You know what I mean? Like it's just those stats just probably aren't ever gonna happen like that again. Like rushing wise, but he's honestly probably the closest thing that you could probably get to him. I mean, especially at such a young age. I mean, dude is super explosive. He's reading the holes really well. He's getting a lot of help from that offensive line as well. I mean, that offensive line, probably the best in the NFL. That's probably me being biased. But, you'll hear the PFF grades later to justify that. But it was good to see what they were doing. They're continuing to do what they should have been doing all year that they started at that Broncos game. And they are blitzing, keeping the pressure on. That front four has played better. Hutchinson has really turned it on these last 4 or 5 games. I think I saw a stat where over the last 4 games he's at 8 sacks, something like that. I don't know if that's like a past stat or not, but either way, it kind of goes with what they've been doing recently anyway. But yeah, and that offense was just clicking the entire night. It was a beautiful thing to see, especially when you're in a casino surrounded by old ladies and you're the only one getting jacked up. You know what I mean? Like, I was yes. These ladies like, okay, all right, like yeah, let's go. But and it was great. I can't. There's not much more I can say. It was just a magical feeling.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Mhm.
I mean, we were talking about it last week. One of the big things, at least early on, it's something we talked about. Having to bring that pressure from the secondary. They were doing that really, really well early, and I kind of got real irritated right before the half, playing that real soft zone. I remember as soon as that drive started, I think I turned to my son and I said, "Dude, the half's gonna be tied. We're gonna be tied at the half." Which wasn't a bold take. I mean, if you know what you're watching, it's not
Right.
You're like, dude, we're giving it to. I didn't understand it.
They were
It didn't
definitely giving
matter.
cushion.
Yeah, I mean, I can complain about stuff even though we won, right? The one thing there was one thing I really wanted to bring up was the performance. The two things really. One being the performance of rookies, and the justification of so many of the picks. I mean, you're in the NFC Championship, so that happened. But I mean, your top rusher was a rookie. The person who caught the most passes was a rookie. The person who got the most tackles was a rookie. That's huge, man. You're talking about you're hoping for contributors, and you got 4 leaders. I mean, Jack Campbell, he wasn't up in those 3 I mentioned, but
he's progressed a lot.
He's still playing, man, and he plays pretty well. So I think that's important. There was a play during the game where Collinsworth called it a choice route from Gibbs, where he ran into a defender and he kind of had to break left or right based on what was going on. And Goff had thrown the ball before he had really made his cut, but they were on the same page. And Gibbs made the catch and had a run on it. And I was wondering if that was true or not. And then Goff was on the radio and he said, yeah, that was a choice route. And we just kind of read it the same way. And so you love to hear that kind of thing. Like those guys are on the same page. Like, this is a rookie we're talking about. And he understands that's so important.
Especially this time of the year too.
Oh my gosh. I mean, to be on track now. I thought that during the Rams game, when I just remember at the beginning of the season, Gibbs would be on like those out of the backfield kind of curl around the outside routes, and they just weren't connecting on those. And then in that Rams game, he hit it. I mean, Goff hit him almost right out of his stride. But he caught it in stride and had a nice play. And I thought right there, I'm like, okay, they're really starting to, like, they're figuring each other out pretty well now. And same with J-Mo. I mean, honestly, he's not just a deep threat. He's running good routes. I mean, it's like he had a bunch of catches or anything, but what he's doing is super helpful, because now they can't be like, oh, he's just out here to run deep or whatever. Like, he's making contested catches when he's getting the ball to him.
And
so I was impressed by that. What's that?
And he's blocking too. Like,
yeah,
like he loves to do it. Like that's always good to see when you see wide receivers doing stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it's a success thing too, right? I mean, if you're doing that well, it's easy to want to do those extra things. Like, hey, we got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm gonna make that block. That one, the Gibbs touchdown. You saw St. Brown right there. I mean, making really a key block that could have stopped him 10 yards short of the end zone if St. Brown wasn't on him the whole way down the field.
Yeah. I did want to mention this. Did you guys see, like, when that picture of him stiff arming Winfield in the end zone when he's scoring the touchdown? Did you see the close up on it where he has the stiff arm on him in the end zone? He's looking at the camera too. Somebody commented, "This is one of the coldest pictures of any football picture ever." It's pretty sick because if you close in, like, he's literally got the stiff arm on him, and then his eyes are locked right on the camera while it's like taking a picture of him. It's like, that's pretty sick. But the visor, you can't really see it. But anyway, continue.
For sure. And the other thing was just the line. We had talked about it, just playing really tough up front. Dean, you've highlighted it right now, and you're right. I mean, 4 of the top 5 offensive PFF grades are offensive linemen. You highlighted Decker having a huge number. He did. And then to have Sewell over top of that. they were beasts, dude. So number 1 was Sewell, Decker, Jonah Jackson. Ouch, was 3rd. Gibby was in 4th, and then Ragnow. I'm saying Gibby now. I heard Goff call him Gibby. I heard Campbell call him Gibby today. So I'm like, I guess that's what they're going with.
Who's ouch?
Jackson, Jonah Jackson. Just because he's hurt, he's out.
Oh, I thought you were
He's
talking
done.
about Ragnow.
No. I mean, what a monster Ragnow, huh?
He's a monster.
Yeah.
They all call him
He
a
went
warrior.
down
I
3
mean, how do you
times
not?
that game? But I mean, it was.
He's probably a future Lions coach, to be honest with you.
I hope so.
Bottom 5 on offense. The bottom was Awasika. Ouch. I mean, he came in to replace our number 3 highest rated offensive guy, but he came in a pinch, and it is what it is. So it was Awasika, Monty, Glasgow, Ferkser, which there's a reason that'll be important coming up here next, and then Kabinda. Bottom of the defense, Romeo Akwara, Kirby Joseph, Kendall Vildor, Melifonwu actually was 4th, which is surprising because he had a sack and a half. But I mean, if that, you got to cover too.
You got to do the other stuff. Yeah,
you got to cover. And then Jack Campbell was 5th from the bottom. Top of defense, Germ was up there again, man. He's good in coverage. He's been doing really well. I mean, being out there in coverage for the team. After that was Benito Jones. Nice to see. Hutchinson, Anzarwerke. So if you have 3 defensive linemen right there in the middle, that's kind of nice. And then CD Deuce, 5th. So, I mean, got to be happy. I mean, they won,
Yeah.
They were posing the question on Detroit radio today: are we playing with house money now? Do you guys feel that way? You did?
A little, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say because it does feel like they're early, right? You know what I mean? Like, we didn't think they'd make the NFC Championship game. I think we all kind of had expectations of them having a really good shot to win the North and win a playoff game. I think that was all of our realistic expectations. I don't think we all expected them to make it to this point, at least in the fashion that they had been doing it, So I mean, I guess you could say you're playing with house money at that point, because I mean, if I think they're a year early, it's kind of like you're just reaping benefits with more to come. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess you could say that. I keep forgetting to say this when I'm talking, but I really liked when it comes down to like the coverage on defense. I know they gave up a lot to Mike Evans, but I feel like they did a really good job in a sense of only letting Mike Evans have that much of a day. I know the tight end had a pretty decent day, but like, if you're going to let one guy beat you, at least you're not letting him and Chris Godwin and whoever their 3rd receiver is beat.
Well, I mean, that's been their thing for like the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Jay Jett has had 2 big games. CeeDee Lamb, big game.
Yeah. Let the
Puka.
superstar wide receiver get his, but let only him get his.
Yeah.
But it feels like they do a good job of keeping it in front of them, but they give up these big plays. And then, and then that's where all these scores are coming from. They're keeping it close, momentum shifts, things like that. But
no doubt.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're playing with house money or not. I guess they are, in the sense that that was kind of what we were hoping for. That they'd win the division, they'd have a home game and win. But I don't know, because in my head I didn't really cap it there either. Like, if you win that first game, you could win the next game, right? Yeah. It's tough to say. Like, I don't want to say it because I don't want to feel satisfied either.
Right. Same. Yeah.
And they won't. Dan Campbell's not a guy who's going to feel satisfied with making the NFC Championship. And he's kind of the spirit of our whole situation. So I'll follow his lead, man. I don't think Sheila's going to be satisfied. She'll support the guys, but I think everybody's on the same page. Like, we're not done here till we bring home a trophy.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the
goal for every season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, You're kind of playing with house money. I get it.
A lot
I
of
get
people
it.
agree.
I get it. I mean, you've made it this far. At this point now, you're playing a team is very good, but very beatable as well. Now, I know San Francisco played in the rain last week. Green Bay has played pretty well the second half of the season, but so is Detroit.
Mhm.
You know, and you start to mix in Goff going back home, right? That's where he's from. You know, uh, depending on the weather, if the weather's nice, I don't think that makes much of a difference. I read today that stats from Vivid Seats that already 20% of the crowd this Sunday, right? Yeah. This Sunday is Lions fans right now. That could end up being more as we get closer to.
In California, we've talked
I wonder why they
to
didn't do
Doty
4
about it,
o'clock and 8 o'clock instead of, as opposed to 3 and 6:30. Oh, right, because they're on the West Coast.
Right.
Does that matter? They're
Well,
behind us.
So
Right.
So that's a noon and a 4.
That'd be kind of nice. Huh?
Oh, whatever.
Go to
I
a
don't know.
noon game and then just have the day.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a noon game for the first game.
No, it's like in the morning almost.
It's a 3. No, because they're in Baltimore.
Right.
Oh,
So it'll
you're
be
talking
at
about-
3.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever.
interesting.
I
So-
like later. So that's why I was like, that's the only reason I thought about it. I was like, I'd rather have it at 8:30.
Ugh.
I like it.
It's easy for me right now to watch them because it's the playoffs. Obviously now it's the NFC Championship, it could be on at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I would stay awake. But that first primetime game, you get to the third quarter and you're just like,
Are they up yet?
yeah. So for me, my thoughts on it came down to one word: is amazing. So what I wrote here, I said, what an amazing atmosphere Sunday was to go with an amazing season with an amazing group of players that bought into a culture, a scheme from an amazing coach, an amazing front office, from Sheila to Rod Wood, Brad Holmes, Chris Spielman, to Dan and his staff. You got Dave Phipp and Hank Fraley, Mark Brunell.
Is this an
AG.
acceptance speech? I just think, I want to thank everybody.
Oh, I mean,
No, you're not wrong. No, I'm sorry.
Season's not over, man.
No, I know that, but I
Oh,
mean,
all right.
just to get to this point,
Yeah.
you know what? Dean,
For sure.
Go back on assignment, Dean.
They're
On
calling me
assignment,
back overseas.
Dean's in Baltimore this Sunday. Watch it.
Baltimore, dang it! Like I'd be in San Francisco.
You're on assignment. Scouting.
I mean, that'd still
Get
be
the
cool.
Stallions treatment.
I'm just on the sideline.
So, of course, the fan base has been amazing this season. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that that was the last home game of the year, right? So, that atmosphere, and it was you watch videos from the weekend, and everyone has the bracelet with, the lights that are going on, and just you see different videos, and it's just and you could tell they were loud, and it's just something that and I think we've talked about this before. We've wanted. This is everything we've wanted, right? So, yes, almost. You're right. But as of right now, this is everything that we hoped for, right? And
Sure.
obviously the job's not done. You still got 2 more. And it's been an amazing year. Fun fact, since they've started 1-6 last year, Dan Campbell's 22-7 as a head coach.
Another fun fact: since Jeff Daniels and Peyton Manning did that curse lifting thing, the Lions are 22-8. Same stat.
Fun fact.
Isn't that crazy though?
I just pooped
No,
myself.
fun fact. Actually,
they
we have
did
another
that.
demon to exercise, right? We haven't had the home playoff games. We haven't won a playoff game. The last time we won a road playoff game was in 1957.
Against
Yep. Well, that's
I don't
what I was
know.
going to bring up. That's what I was going to bring up.
49ers.
Hey, you had your chance to talk.
I wasn't gonna
They won.
say.
So let me tell you about this homemade enchilada recipe. Then, I guess.
The last time the Lions went to a championship game was in 57. The team they had to beat to get to the NFL championship was the 49ers. And they did have to play in San Francisco. And they won that game 31-27.
In 1957, they had actual 49ers on the team. Some prospectors on the sidelines.
Jeez, mute
That's
that,
how
man.
old I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
Used
how
to
long
be in
ago.
the other microphone.
The actual 49ers. Oh, man. And the Lions had an actual lion on the side.
Yeah,
A
they
real
had
lion.
just an untamed lion on a chain.
Back, Leo, back.
Back. The head coach was also the trainer.
Yeah.
Slash quarterback.
Yeah, slash QB.
Real quick, I have a couple of quotes from someone I won't name. After Gibbs scored, I go, after that awesome touchdown, I said, man, Jameer's special, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of us said that. And someone told me that we all thought Javid Best was special as well.
I mean,
Then,
Right at that moment.
in that
during the divisional playoff game,
in fairness, we did think Javid Best was.
I said
somewhat
that, and I
special,
said that
yeah.
too, but it was like he just scored this sweet touchdown.
Right,
You know,
right. Like, what are you hating on Jameer
in a
Gibbs right now?
huge moment.
Huge moment. Like,
Say it in the off season, man. Like, what are you doing?
He then also
What?
said, Hutchinson's a poor man's Hawkinson, or not Hutchinson. Sorry, Laporta's a poor man's Hawkinson.
Hawkinson.
Yeah,
That's
Dude's
so dumb.
setting tight end records. What do you mean? He's a
And
poor...
that-
Hawkinson didn't set no
and that-
rookie tight end
Laporta
record.
is what Hawkinson was supposed to be,
Yeah,
right,
and
yeah,
just
for real.
didn't have it with the
Didn't.
what we had going on.
No.
right,
And I think he
And
runs
then,
bad routes. But
right. And then that third, the one I just remembered was the only
Way
reason why
uglier too.
the only reason why Amon Ra is good is because of the scheme he's in. He
you can
wouldn't
say
be
that
as
about
good
any
anywhere else.
player. You can say that about any player in any system that's good. Brock
Yeah.
Purdy, Christian McCaffrey.
Probably couldn't say
Debo
that about
Samuel.
Tyreek because he's done it in two systems.
That's true. Tyreek Hill is just. They say I've watched videos of like corners talking about that, and they say the hardest people to cover are people that you can't tell how they're like where they're going to go from how they run. Like, 'cause he runs weird, so his shoulders are always like shaking, so it makes him super hard to cover because he's fast, obviously. But then he runs like weird, so like it's hard to see where he's going to cut next. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. I guess
That's
true.
crazy.
He does run. a
St.
little
Brown would
weird
be
if you look
good
at him.
everywhere.
I mean,
everywhere.
that's fair. Yeah,
He
Unless was
would,
drafted
as
in the
if-
first round. Then he wouldn't have all those people to
I
to hate
mean,
on.
like
He's
he's
a good
our,
man.
he's pretty much our number one target, but like in almost, and there's not a place he couldn't fit in and have a good season every year. Like, I'm not just saying because I'm a St. Brown slappy. I mean, he's that kind of player, man. I mean,
Right.
great hands, runs great routes, tough guy. He could run any route on anybody's tree, and he'll do it well.
He is the.
Right.
I mean,
work ethic
obviously he
player.
reads defense as well because he finds himself like Gibbs with the choice routes. I mean, Goff and St. Brown have got to be on such the same page, I'm sure, so often that. But if you're reading it, then the quarterback's usually reading that pretty good too, unless your quarterback sucks. But
To your point with chemistry too is Goff and JMO, right? They're starting to. You can tell they're starting to get a chemistry as well, which man just bodes well.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah,
you could see Goff was talking about it today. That he's like, dude, JMO he's like, it comes together more and more every day, and he's gonna have a big game before you know it. And you could easily, like, if we win, you could easily see potentially having a big game. But I could see that with any of the guys, like Josh Reynolds.
That's the best part about their offense is, I mean, anybody could really have a day. Cleve could even have, 4
For
or 5
sure.
catches and a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Berkser,
I
definitely.
mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see. Like, I honestly thought Brock Wright was going to score a touchdown in the last game because I was
That
like, this
was
just
the
seems,
same play. Goff was
I was-
asked that if that was the same play as the Jets game
Yeah,
from a year ago. He goes,
Yeah.
wasn't the same formation or whatever, but he's like, that's the same play.
similar play. Yeah, that's why I was like, it just felt like a game where they would bring out a tight end that doesn't catch a lot of balls and just blocks a lot, and then give him that give him that route where he sneaks out and nobody's covering him because they're like, oh, he's blocking for sure.
I mean, well, to speak to the genius of that too is like the Craig Reynolds touchdown.
Yeah,
That is not the guy that you thought would get the ball right there.
I was like, when he scored, I was like, was that Craig Reynolds?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't
I know
even know
it
he was
cost
in the
me money
game.
because I was
like,
hoping it was
whoa.
Monty, but it was
Yeah,
Craig Reynolds.
right. Like I was like, why is this?
Yeah.
We do love Craig. I got a soft spot for Craig.
You gotta
'cause that
love Craig,
Cardinals
dude.
game we went
He's
to,
been there.
and he tore it up when we were
Oh,
weren't
yeah, yeah,
expecting
against the
them.
Cards,
yeah.
yeah.
We were like, we'll leave early and we'll catch some lunch at a bar. And then we're like, oh my gosh, Craig Reynolds is tearing the Cardinals apart right now. We stayed for the whole game. Like, oh, I guess we have to. Yeah.
So, looking at this real quick, I wanted to see what contributions based on draft, right? And there was a little bit of it on the broadcast Sunday, but I wanted to look into it. And all these players have made an impact from 2021 to this year, right? So Penei Sewell, Levi Onzuwerke, Aleem McNeil, Ifatu Melifonwu, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derek Barnes with a winning interception. The only one in that draft class, Jamar Jefferson, right?
7th round
2022.
pick or 6th
Yeah.
or 7th round pick though.
Seventh. It was seventh.
Yeah.
2022, Aiden, JMO, Kirby Joseph, James Mitchell, Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston, Chase Lucas. And then obviously this year with Jameer Jack, Sam, Brian Branch, just amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Draft.
And, like you said, Ed, rookies that are contributing to a division winning, playoff winning football team.
Yeah.
Just amazing
Don't
stuff.
stop yourself short of saying championship, baby.
And
Go
to
ahead.
me,
I ain't jinxing.
to me, that kind of separates Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell as well, because in a sense of like, how they were always tied together. I feel like now, I think they've both proven to done enough to a point to where I don't think you could let Brad Holmes go regardless, because clearly this guy drafts talent. If you can't put together a solid team with the guys that he's bringing, I mean, you just said it, 3 drafts in a row. There's been 3 to 4 guys in each draft that have contributed and are like main starters now. And then, and Dan's obviously a rah-rah guy, really good at motivating the guys. I'm assuming he plays a role in setting up the schemes, and stuff for the other teams. So I don't know. Do you think that Brad Holmes and Dan have done enough on their own to be judged separately, or do you think they're still tied together?
I said that last week.
Did you?
Yeah, almost exactly that. I said it's to a point now where like we're in a league that obviously there's a lot of turnover at that coaching position,
Hmm.
and it's a win now league, and you would hope to think that, God forbid something happens and Dan Campbell gets fired, that it wouldn't be a GM head coach get rid of other, which you do
Right.
see sometimes,
Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. I think they've separated, especially Brad Holmes.
Yeah. I mean, if you're
You know.
drafting these players, because there's teams where the GMs are just drafting these guys, and then they're not very good, and then the coach, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then he's like, "What am I supposed to do with these guys that aren't like, I mean, they're probably good football players, but it's just like, in comparison to NFL talent, you know, it's tough to manage a team like, which is what we've seen, for a long
Well,
time in Detroit.
well, and credit. I mean, obviously, credit goes to Dan Campbell and his staff too, because
Yeah.
they got a lot of crap for who they drafted. You know what I mean. So
Yeah,
yeah,
at that
no.
point they were definitely tied together because of that draft, because
Mhm.
people were looking at it like, "Whoa, like why are you drafting?" I mean, we know the story, but
Right.
so I don't know.
Eddie, I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that, but so let's go ahead and do a quick preview on the Lions and 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers beat Green Bay. We kind of talked about that already. Lions signed Zach Ertz. We can kind of lump that in there as well to get some tight end help. Eddie, what are your keys to the game this Sunday?
Well, I mean, coming into this game, as the Nature Boy eloquently put it, not just woo, but to be the best, you got to beat the best. And to win the Super Bowl this year, that's obviously what's going to happen. There are no frauds in this Final Four, and the Lions will be the underdog regardless of what happens moving forward. And for no small reason. All the teams left can obviously beat the Lions, and the teams that are left are teams that we can beat also. I mean, we beat the Chiefs. Obviously, Baltimore was rough, but that was a long time ago. Just like I
Right.
said before, last week's game, the first thing you have to admit is that it's not the same team we had played in week 6, and it's not the same team Baltimore will see again if we so get there. So, I mean, the big things, it's all about matchups. On defense, we're a minus matchup against their offense. The only way we give ourselves a chance is to stop McCaffrey and Presser Purdy, which is pretty standard, which should be the two things that we need to do. We don't have the guys to cover Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey in one pass play. We just straight up don't. So getting there is going to be huge. On defense, the Niners are stacked in their front 7. I mean, it's as legit as it comes. Bosa, Young, Armstead, Hargrave. Warner's the top 5 linebacker in the league. We saw what Greenlaw could do last year, man. I was talking to Bill about this before, that it's kind of the combo of the first 2 games. LA had a good offense. The Bucs have a good defense. The 49ers have both, and their offense and defense is better than the Rams and the Bucs. And so we have to open up our run game, give Jared 3 seconds to throw the ball. I mean, if you can't, dude, it's going to be tough. I mean, we can beat their secondary. That's the thing. Their secondary can be beat, and we have weapons. For their 4 guys, we got 4 guys that can make plays. You put that all together, though. I mean, it kind of hurts to predict it, but the Lions win by 50 instead of 100.
Yeah, playing it
Dude,
safe.
the old Lions got to come through and play big. If they can hold that front 4 and we can get passes off, that's going to be it on offense. Defense, it's going to be tough.
Mhm.
If you can get to Purdy early and rattle him a little, because he hasn't been the same guy the last 6 weeks that he's been through most of the season. You get to him early, you can rattle him a little bit. I don't think he's that kind of. I think he's a solid dude, so it's going to be tough to do. And they got a good line also. And if we don't stop their run, then we're not going to be able to get to Purdy anyway. So if we have to stop Christian McCaffrey, which hardly anybody has done,
especially recently.
Yeah. Fortunately, we have a really good run defense, but still, you have to stop that. And at the same time, Debo's playing. I know they're like, it's a 50-50. Dude, Debo's going to play. And it's almost a slap in the face if he doesn't. I mean, honestly, they're like, it was like when the Chiefs sat Jones and Kelsey at the beginning of the year. They thought they'd beat the Lions. That's what I really think. They could have just beat them without him.
Well, Chris Jones was under contract negotiations.
Didn't he play the next week?
He did. That's because they lost.
They could have made it happen. I think it wasn't important enough to make it happen.
We need somebody.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't important enough to make happen.
No, right. I agree with that.
So that's where I'm at. Dude, if Debo doesn't play, I mean, that changes the game for us, which is great. I mean, I'd love it if he didn't. I don't care if the best players aren't on the field.
For sure.
Right. Right.
Sit him, dude.
They need to prepare like he's going to play, and then if he doesn't, perfect.
Excellent. Right. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got on the game. I'm obviously very excited, very nervous.
Yeah.
I don't see why they can't win. I mean, we have to also agree that although the Packers got close, the Niners had been sitting for 2 weeks. And that's usually not great.
Right.
Packers are good, but anyway.
Right. Well, and I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. It's, I've said that someone texted me today and they're like, Lions are going to the Super Bowl. I'm going, dude, this is not the Panthers they're playing. You know what I mean? That team is stacked, and it'll be interesting to see. What I'm kind of excited for is to see Hutchinson going up against Trent Williams, right? If that happens. I don't know if they're going to switch it so that he's on the other side.
I'm sure it'll go back and
They
forth.
got to move Hutch around. Because he's our only guy.
Right. So,
it's like Debo on offense, right? All the motion, all that is based on him. I mean, we got to do that with Hutch.
Right. And I kind of figured they'd probably keep him on the other side of Trent Williams, but it would, to me, as kind of an exciting matchup, right? Like, I'd love to see him go against the best, because Trent Williams is a great offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean, you pretty much hit everything spot on. It's gonna be a tough game. They're gonna come to play and try to ruin the story that has captivated the nation. And that's another thing where it's like, obviously you don't need motivation to play in the NFC Championship, right? They've had, with last year and having all three of their quarterbacks hurt and not being able to make it, and you add that, and then the whole Detroit starting to become America's team, which I've seen in a couple different places. There's motivation for them, so it's it's gonna be tough, and Lions by 25.
Easily.
Playing it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with, obviously I agree with that too. You got to keep pressure on Purdy. You got to get him moving, or not even necessarily moving. You almost want to keep him in the pocket and bring the pressure. Obviously, I think with any pressure, you just want it to kind of collapse in on them. But I think with Purdy, I think that's even more important, because if he gets moving around a little bit, I mean, definitely pull the Alex Smith on him. You know what I'm saying? Give him a little, or the Theismann, whatever you want to go with, whatever generation you're in. It'd be Smith or a Theismann. But and especially in their offense, they do a lot of like short throws, quick screens, a lot to McCaffrey and Debo, obviously, and Ayuk. And so, I mean, I think that the Lions can do a pretty good job of keeping, like I was saying earlier, I think they can do a good job of keeping it in front of them. It's just giving up that one big play. If they can avoid giving up the big plays and just make Purdy uncomfortable, at least, I think they'll have a legitimate shot. But going to like the run defense, so they have gotten worse in the playoffs than they did during the regular season. They're not by a lot. They're giving up like an extra yard per carry now in the playoffs, which I can think we kind of. I mean, you saw it against the Bucks and the Rams, where I mean, well, not necessarily the Rams, but the Bucks had a few big play runs and stuff like that. And so, I mean, if they can avoid that stuff with Christian McCaffrey, which is easier said than done, you got to bottle him up. But I mean, like you said, I mean, it's not crazy to imagine them winning this game. They're a very beatable team, for sure. I mean, as with anybody, I guess, in a sense. But
Right.
yeah,
Do you think Zach Ertz helps them immediately this weekend?
I think he obviously adds, experience, when it comes to playoff football. I mean, I know they've kind of highlighted it on this signing where he caught the touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, whatever, things like that. But he also knows, I guess there's ties with him and the tight end coach too. Like I'm assuming he knows the verbiage a little bit already, kind of knows the route tree, things like that. So I think, I mean, he's probably gonna have to be help this week. They say he's probably gonna suit up this Sunday against the 49ers. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, as long as he can get out there and block, just throw some blocks. That's all we really need him to do. That's all really Brock Wright was doing for the most part, So
I don't know if you heard that or not. I said I think they almost have to have him play Sunday.
yeah. You're having Skip playing your third ball game,
Right.
which I mean, he's played it a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you want him out there running routes, maybe. You know what I mean? Like if they just call a play where he's running.
They'll probably still have Ferkser as the third guy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, it'll be nice to have Ertz out there. I mean, Goff was saying he's got a relationship with Ertz too, which is nice. They're both Bay Area guys,
Yeah.
So I mean, they said they've been friends for a while. They're they're not like close, I don't think, but there's at least a rapport. And Ertz is a professional, so
yeah,
A professional.
as good as you could get at this time.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Well, go Lions and be ready for Sunday. So let's get into the Red Wings weekly update. Since recording last week, Red Wings went 2-1, now 2-2 since they lost tonight, which is Tuesday. Kane's still out. I don't know after tonight if they're still in the first wild card spot. 1 point out of third place in the Atlantic. This was all before they lost tonight. They've been playing pretty good.
They did already lose to Dallas.
Yeah, they lost 5-4. Yeah, I was gonna say how important are the next 4 games before the All-Star break. Pretty important considering they're all at home. They've been playing some really good hockey as of late. Lions look good. I don't know who started tonight. I'll look into that. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Red Wings?
No, just the only thing I wanted to ask was, do you think they should make a trade for Church-a-Run from the Senators, the defenseman for the Senators? He's on the block right now, and I mean, who's to say that they couldn't use some defensive help? I mean, do you think he'd make that much of a difference? And is he worth giving up a first-round pick for? Because that's what they're pretty much expecting to get.
I mean, I think he'd be worth going after, and I think he would be worth a potential first-round pick because we have a lot of young guys that we still don't even have up on the squad that can still be developed. And, I mean, you can always trade if there's somebody you got to get in the first round. Cheater. I mean, if you're trying to make a run this year, yeah, I think so. Especially with Was it Sherratt that just went down?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And not that he was playing tough D, but he is a scorer.
Right.
A solid defensive
Well,
scorer. So
that
I don't know.
was one
I
of the-
kind of like the thought of the trade. I like what we got now, right at the moment.
well,
We are struggling on defense, but
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I know they're like top like 5 or 8 in the league in scoring, but pretty much everything else, like points against, expected goals against, things like that, are all in like the bottom like 5 or 6 in the league. So that's why I saw that and I was like, I mean, I don't know if that's something you guys thought would be a good move for them or not. So I just wanted to bring it up.
no, yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be nice to see. I mean, we just need a solid defender, not necessarily a straight scoring defender,
Right.
which has been kind of, I talked about it all off season and leading up to it. I mean, they needed points and they needed points bad. They've added that, but we're lacking. We're lacking on the back end for sure.
It was Lion. Well, it looks like Lions started, and he gave up the 5 because they lost 5-4.
Mm.
So, Larkin had a goal and an assist tonight. Alex had a goal and an assist tonight. So, the
Nice.
offense is there. It's defense.
Is it time for Edvinsson, Bill?
I mean, they've brought him up a couple times. You would think. I mean, it looks like they brought up Brogan Rafferty. I don't know sometimes why they do the things they do. I don't know why they don't keep Edvinsson up. I understand when the D lines are fully healthy, right? I think you've brought it up before with veterans, having older veterans, and having Edvinsson in Grand Rapids, doesn't hurt him. But when someone goes down like Sherratt, I don't know why you don't have him up. He's by far your best defender in Grand Rapids. So, I mean, I know he was gonna be in the AHL All-Star game, but that's not what he's there for. He needs to be in Detroit. I don't get it. So I don't know if they just wanted to get a look at Rafferty. I have no idea, but I don't even know if he played tonight. He didn't have any stats. So, I mean, you got Wallman, Mata, Gostisbehere, Petrie, Mo Sider, and Justin Hull. So he didn't even play unless they dress 7 defenders, which I doubt. So, I mean, I guess when you look at that, I don't know. You're not going to take out Sider and Wallman and Mata, right? Or
Sure.
Gostisbehere at this point. I guess it'd either be Hull or Petrie. So, I don't know. Maybe they're just letting him get a couple games here and there, bring him up and have him have a full rookie season next season. Who knows?
It's hard to say.
But you would think if you're trying to make a run at the playoffs, you'd want your best guys there. But, what do I know? What do I know? So, real quick, Pistons lost another 3 straight since their 4th win. Not all bad news. Cade is expected back tomorrow, which would be Wednesday. Also, Monty Morris is possible to play tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Which means this will be the first time this year that all the Pistons would be healthy. That'd be their actual team. They play in Charlotte tomorrow.
What about Livers and Bagley?
Oh, yeah, they're gone. They're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Oh, gotcha.
They're gone. Coming to town on Wednesday is Charlotte. Does Miles Bridges stay in Detroit? Should they trade for him? Miles Bridges is averaging 20.6 points on the year, 7.1 rebounds. After sitting the whole entire season last year, obviously he had his problems off the court. He pleaded no contest to felony domestic violence. So, I'll let you guys go. You'll probably touch on what I want to say. So, I don't know if you have a lot of thoughts on it. It doesn't have to be a lot, but so.
I mean, they need talent. I mean, that's bottom line, right? I mean, they need somebody. I don't know if they just need to switch it up. I think he could be a guy that could play some pretty good D for us and maybe progress. But then you think about like all the legal stuff with him. You know what I mean? Like especially over the past year. You know, the domestic stuff, all that stuff. Do you want to bring that baggage on? And then you kind of think like, well, at this point in the Pistons time frame, is bringing a guy with that baggage on more of a big deal than bringing on a guy that has possibly some legit talent? I mean, he's averaging since coming back from his injury, he's averaging like 20 points a game, 8 rebounds. I mean, that's pretty solid. Plus, he's a Michigan guy. You know what I mean? I think the fan base would be pretty into it. But then you just think about that baggage. And then I don't know if you guys have seen the trade proposal. Like there was one that I saw that it was Wiseman and a protected first round for Bridges and James Bouknight. And it's like I don't want them to get rid of the first round pick, but at the same time, they haven't really been, you know what I mean, drafting the right guys to fit around Cade.
Did it say what the protection was?
Top 10 protected.
Oh, then.
I mean, they're good.
It's already protected.
They're saying the Hornets are gambling that the Pistons will be better. And I think that, I mean, it's not crazy to think they would sneak out of the top 10 if Bridges is to be somewhat close to being a legitimate number 2 guy. But I don't know. I would probably be okay with it if they make the trade, but it's not something I would be like, let's go for it. Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm on the fence with it. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't necessarily would love it. I don't think I'd love it either. Mm-hmm. Especially when the state they're in right now. I don't know if it really matters that much other than for morale purposes.
Well, you go ahead.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say he's another expiring contract.
Right.
You know, too. So yeah. That, you know, you add that in with Muscala and Gallinari, who are also on expiring contracts. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what they want to do. So that, but the thing is, what are you giving up? Right. That's the main thing. Obviously, you want to give up Cade, Ivy, Sasser, or Duran, right? Maybe they take Bojan, you know, Killian, you know, you brought it up, James Wiseman.
He didn't even play last night.
And maybe a side piece like Harris or Knox, you know. It just depends what ends up being given up is my biggest thing. If you want to bring him in hopes that he kind of gets them a couple wins and he wants to stay long term, the off the court stuff, people make mistakes, right? Like it's not a great look what he did. It's not cool by any means, you know. But if I was going to say,
Town, baby,
you know, judge a character and whatnot. You know, if he is truly, I'll be honest with you, I haven't paid a lot of attention to Miles Bridges since he got in trouble. I don't know if he's been fully remorseful. I'm assuming he is. You know what I mean? I don't know that.
Right.
It's not a cool thing that you did. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you know, people
That's
do.
Kind of cool. I'm just kidding. Obviously.
Yikes.
Just kidding.
Obviously.
You know, people get second chances, and if that's the case, I don't. Like I said, I haven't really looked into Miles Bridges, so right. You know, I could be completely wrong on that. It is what it is, but the talent's there. The talent's there to pair him up with Duran. It's like you said. I don't think it makes that much of a difference this season.
Right.
But,
especially if it's expiring. Is a first-round pick worth an expiring contract? If he's like what I mean, there's no guarantee that he will re-sign, even if you're that interested. You know what I mean?
well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it depends what you're giving up. I don't
Right.
think you give up a first-round pick for an expiring contract that you're telling me he wants to stay with a team that's won four games, regardless if it's Detroit or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the trade goes, I mean, it would have to be a trade and sign if you're going to give up a draft pick. Otherwise, I don't care as much if you give up Wiseman or our biggest asset. Our biggest asset is the pick, and then it's Bojan and Burks. I don't care if they even gave up Bojan and Burks to get him if he's going to sign. Basketball wise, he's exactly what they need. 35% career 3-point shooter, creates his own shots, plus defender. He can spread the floor with a guy like that while also him playing defense, which has been frustrating because they could have won a couple of their last games and it's like they just give up on defense down there. And it's just so frustrating because
it's the Bucks the other night.
Yeah, I mean they're right there to win the games, and then it's like they get so caught up in their offense, which is just how their mindset that they just give up on the defense. But he would be such a nice player for Cade to play with Cade and Duran, and that's a legitimate big three if they're playing to their potential. Especially since he's somebody that can shoot from the outside a little bit more. So you have Cade, a playmaker, Bridges, a playmaker from all over the court, which Cade can hit threes too. So now you're talking two legitimate scorers who can create shots, and that's really what creates a big three, plus the big man down low. And so would he be worth a first-round pick? I think so. Is that what you're going to ask?
Dude had 5 blocks the other night. That's all I'm saying.
Bridges?
No. I said beef stew. When you said a big man down
low.
Oh,
beef stew?
If he stays down low.
Yeah. Now, hey, feed the man more threes. I'm telling you, boys, is coming around.
Yeah.
Wait for the step back to be put into play, my
developing,
man.
Still under development.
Standing there 3 little step.
He's trying to pull a step back. Oh man, I would laugh so hard if he pulled a step back out.
But yeah, I mean, to sync that all up, I mean, if they traded for him, as far as basketball goes, that would be great. If it's a trade and sign, then I'm okay with giving a pickup because he's a first round pick. He's that kind of talent too, and he's proved it in the league already. I kind of worry about what Troy would pick at whatever pick we're gonna get.
Right.
And then if it's expiring, whatever.
Right.
Then I don't really care anyway.
Right.
All right.
But he's probably not even gonna end up at the Pistons.
Right.
There are other teams that want him. I mean,
Sacramento and
teams that could really make an actual push.
yeah. He's like, I'll sign with him next year.
But yeah, the baggage stuff. I mean, I think that's probably, you'd assume that's in his rearview mirror. I don't even think coming back to Michigan might be good for him. Him and Izzo were pretty tight during his time here. That could be good for him. The only issue he had with MSU was his mom taking money, or allegedly taking money from an agent or something. Tale as old as time kind of thing.
Who cares?
But
now, right?
Song as old as right.
Yeah. But he wasn't out. I mean, he probably knew. I don't know if he was proven that it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. Especially now because everybody's getting cash
He'd be
now.
making Rocket Mortgage money now if he was in college.
But it wasn't like legal issue type of thing.
Right.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right. Like you said, probably not going to happen, but
Probably not.
All right. Last segment, new game. Oh yeah. All right.
All right.
Now that we got Dean back, if you haven't checked it out, check out our random question generator from last week. That video's up. And this one's called Top 3. All right. So I have 3 choices. It's got to be pretty much instantaneous, mainly because I don't want to edit out long pauses. So I'm going to give you 3. You go 3, 2, and then your best one. Okay. And they're all different.
Start
different
at the worst, go to the best.
Right. Okay. And Dean, you can go first and then you go second. It doesn't matter. So,
I don't care.
All right. Now there's only 3 options. Okay. I thought about adding a 4th in to leave one out, but too much. Didn't want to push it. So, okay. First one. Fast food. Hardee's, Culver's, Burger King.
Oh, I'm supposed to go. Oh man, that's tough. I go. Unfortunately, I know what you're expecting. I'm going to go Burger King, Hardee's, Culver's.
Okay. Eddie?
Hardee's, Burger King, Culver's.
So Culver's number 1, unanimous number 1.
Of the 3.
Delicious. The Butter Burger is one of the
very
better
good.
burgers in the game.
It is very good.
In the
I was
fast
trying
food
to-
game, it's right up
In the
there.
fast food game, it's right up there.
I was trying to find a third one to go with Hardee's and Culver's because they're kind of on like a different set from like Burger King, McDonald's.
Sonic.
But
love Burger King.
I couldn't.
You know this,
Yeah.
but I couldn't. I don't know.
Just
I
the
like,
options.
I like Hardee's just so much.
Yeah. I know.
It's a rare thing for me now, so
Right. Yeah. I hear
it
you.
makes it more special. Walking into that Love's gas station.
I
Go
just don't go out that way, so I never go by
Mm,
Hardee's.
I'd
It's a
make
shame.
I'd make my way out that way somehow.
But if I'm out there, if I'm gonna
Detour.
buy fast food myself and I'm in Marshall or in town, I'll like go to Arby's instead.
Mm.
I'm not gonna drive all the way out to Hardee's.
That's fair because you're out in Contra.
Yeah.
Or Homer.
If I'm going
Okay.
fancy.
All right. These are girl celebrities ranked on hotness. All right. Ready?
All right.
Who's going first?
We'll rotate. I guess I
Rotate
don't
it.
want to go first.
Rotate.
I'll go first.
Rotate.
We should
Yeah,
rotate.
you're
Oh,
going
you
first.
already said rotate.
All right, yeah.
All right. Ready?
Pervert.
All right. Zoe Saldana, Kaylee Cuoco, Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, Kaylee Cuoco, Zoe Saldana.
Dean.
Zoe Saldana, Rachel
You piece of
McAdams,
crap.
Kaylee Coco.
What the hell's wrong with you, man?
It's apples to apples, baby. You can't go wrong, dog. Come on, dog.
No, you're wrong. You just don't know it.
Who did you have first,
Idiot.
Eddie?
Saldana,
No, I'm sorry, last.
Rachel McAdams.
Really, I thought she was second on yours.
Okay.
That was
Three.
mine.
Review the
different-
tape. You'll have
That
to
was
watch
mine.
the episode this week.
All right, Dean, your turn to go first. Best actor.
What about you, Bill?
What about me?
Didn't
want
you
me to-
name them?
I-
Yeah.
Give us
well, I
some.
can.
We can't be the only pervs on the show. You're asking us the questions.
All right. Rachel McAdams, Zoe Saldana, Kelly Cuoco.
I could have guessed that. I could. You're a Kaylee
all right.
Cuoco guy.
Yeah, she's.
I agree.
All right,
agree
best
with that.
actors. Who's going first right now? Dean?
Yeah.
All right, ready? Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, Morgan Freeman.
Oh man, that
Three.
one hurts. I go with
I mean, tough.
Tom.
Nice
Hanks.
instant answer.
Tom
Yeah.
Hanks, Well, I'm trying to answer. You keep interrupting me.
No, it wasn't. For the
Tom
first 30
Hanks.
seconds. Oh.
That's a tough one. Those are really
it's so
good actors.
tough. Oh.
I know.
All right, you know what?
Just answer it.
I don't have an answer now. It's gone.
Wow.
It's Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington.
Okay.
Wait, what were the guys again?
Jeez, please.
Oh, geez, that was
Freeman,
instant.
Hanks, Washington. Easy.
Freeman, Hanks, Washington.
Yeah.
Denzel's the man.
Freeman's been riding his voice his whole career.
But it's so iconic.
Doesn't make him a great actor.
He was really good.
He is a great actor. All right, you know that I went too far.
Yeah. A little too far.
He's a great actor, but it's his voice that has carried him.
You're not right.
Hanks and
Yeah,
Washington have played wide variety.
Yeah, but Hanks was on the Epstein files, so.
Ooh,
Yeah,
maybe he is third.
I was.
Yikes!
I actually, my weekend update was one of them was in regards to the whole Epstein thing, because I saw a lot of videos on it. I didn't want to get into that.
Well,
Yeah, no.
wasn't the Miami alien situation brought up because to try to hide the Epstein stuff for right now?
There's always.
There was talk about that. All right, best comedians. Who's going first? Eddie.
I know.
Yep. Dave Chappelle, Tom Segura, Bill Burr.
Segura, Burr, Chappelle.
Dean.
Burr, Segura, Chappelle.
I mean, they're three really good ones.
Yeah, they're all great.
Segura doesn't
All right.
do it for me in general.
Really? I love
His podcast stuff, that's funny. His stand-up, every now and again, I'll be like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I love it.
That's just a personal
Yeah, me
thing.
too.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
right,
I get it.
right.
obviously, a lot of people love him, or else he wouldn't be incredibly famous and rich. But
Yeah, right.
you know,
I do.
I figured that'd be right up your alley.
sometimes he gets me,
Mhm.
but not
you ever-
generally. I feel like I
ever
have to
watch,
wait a long time before I'm ready for.
You ever watch Mostly Stories? His stand-up called Mostly Stories.
Sounds terrible.
It's like one of his early ones. I like that one.
I think I've watched almost all of his stand-ups.
Fair enough.
Because I always think I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, all right,
It's fair.
All right, Dean, you're up.
I'm a piece of crap, dude. I don't know. Stop judging me.
All right, retro video games. Tecmo Super Bowl, Super Mario 64, Super Mario 3.
Tecmo Super Bowl, Mario 3, Super Mario 64. I love
64, 3, Tecmo.
I didn't play a lot.
Such
of
a
Tecmo,
child.
In fairness to me.
It's almost a tie for me with Tecmo Super Bowl and Super Mario 3. Because Super Mario 3 was like, I mean, my favorite will always be 1, but 3 was like so advanced in that time era where it's, you know, like for you, like Mario 64. You know what I mean?
I mean,
That
hey,
was,
no crapping on 64. That's a legit game.
yeah,
These
that was
are
a
one of my
legit
favorite
game.
games ever.
Yeah, that's fun.
all right. Best wrestler. I mean, it's the 3.
Eyebrow? Give me an eyebrow.
It's the 3. Stone Cold, Undertaker, The Rock.
Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker.
Eddie?
The Rock, Undertaker, Stone Cold.
I mean, you could go either way with that, really. It's almost like, to me, obviously The Rock was my favorite wrestler, but it would almost be The Rock would be third. Just the amount of, you know, I mean, all 3 changed the game, right? But when you,
I think that's why Undertaker was my favorite, but I hold him in the middle because he just kind of kept it going
Mhm.
in his own way. Like, you know, I feel like the other 2 did change the game, but Taker was kind of like the steady hand.
right, yeah. All right, Sweet Treat, Eddie, you're first.
Ooh, naughty.
Me. All right, here we go. Ready? Custard Long John pancakes, honey bun.
Okay, I thought you were saying one thing at the beginning. I was like, custard long john pancakes? Never heard of those.
It sounds amazing.
All right, so custard long john pancake,
Honey bun.
honey bun,
Yeah.
pancake, long john honey bun.
Mm.
Yeah, I know that was a tough one. Yeah.
Keep it in your
It's
pants,
fine.
fellas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
What else?
Zaddy.
I love honey buns, but pancakes, honey bun, long john custard.
Really can't go wrong. And it really depends on the
I
pancake
love honey buns so much
too,
too.
right? Like for me, it like if you said Cracker Barrel pancakes,
I was
it would
gonna
go-
say,
yeah, honey bun, custard long john, Cracker Barrel pancakes. But if you give me like a fluffy normal pancake, then it would be third. So
you just think in general pancakes, you're like, yeah, you're sitting around the bottom because you can get any kind of pancake.
Right.
But I feel
I'm
like
thinking
every
like-
custard long john I've ever had, pretty damn good.
So
Yeah.
delicious.
Honey buns, they come the same way every time, baby.
yeah, they do.
Love a good honey bun.
All right, two more. Best feeling.
Excuse me?
First. Is it me
All right.
first?
Hey, sport talk.
All right, these are a little longer, so I won't say them as fast. All right, hitting that itch just right. Your nose clears for the first time after being sick, or Saturday morning or non-work day where you're able to sleep and you have no plans.
So normal weekend.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, so what was the first one?
You hitting that itch in just the right spot,
Mm.
and then your nose clears after being sick for the
Yeah.
first time.
Nose clearing, being sick. What was this?
Sleep
Saturday
in
morning.
and
Your weekend.
sleeping. Yeah, normal weekend and hitting that itch just right.
I'm gonna hit that itch just right last.
Really?
Sleep in,
Deal with
but
it.
when you and nose at the top because, dude, you just take it for granted right now.
Yeah.
When you're so clogged, and then like that day it opens up, you're like, I won't. I know almost every time I'm like, I'm not taking this for granted again. Like this is so nice.
Yeah.
There hasn't
Oh,
been
yeah.
many times where I couldn't get the itch.
What if it's in the center of your
You
back?
can't. You find a corner.
Yeah.
and there's no corners.
It sounds like hell on earth.
Then I'm struggling.
I'm struggling.
I'm just doing this.
Yeah, just
I'm at work. Like, what are you doing? Just hitting the itch, baby.
Oh, oh. All right, last one. Another. We'll rank this as what would be. I don't have a subject for it. Just reading the third one. Okay. All right. Rank these from obviously last to first, but what you would want to happen. There we go. What you would want to happen the most. Okay.
from least to most.
Least to most.
Am I up this time too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Little wrench. All right. Okay.
Ready? All
Yeah.
right. Pistons winning their 5th game. The Red Wings securing a wild card spot to play Boston. Or Ric Flair returning for another match.
I feel like this is easy.
Clearly.
Flair, Pistons, Wings.
Flair's number one. I don't know what you're talking about. No, yeah, same. Flair, Pistons, Wings.
Oh yeah, you're talking about
Nobody
the
wants to
HBK.
see. Yeah. Thank you.
I love you.
Kick it right in the face.
I
Yeah.
thought I had read something like he wanted to do one more match. It's like, dude,
I had heard a few
He's
years
with
back.
AEW right now, isn't he?
yeah.
I had heard a few years back that him and Hulk Hogan had talked about doing another match together.
There's no way Hogan.
Could
can
you imagine? That was a few years back, though.
Yeah.
I think Hogan was still in, like, I mean, old man.
They'd have
shape,
to do
but
a tag,
good old
man.
You know what I mean? Against who?
No,
They'd have
not
to
on the
figure
same
this
team
out. Okay.
against each other.
They're going for the heavyweight, the tag championships.
Did you
Hey,
ever
dude, I
watch
think
any-
Patterson and Briscoe won the tag champs at some point. So, I mean, I guess why not?
It's true.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch any footage from his supposed last match?
Hogan's?
No, Ric Flair.
I feel like he's had a bunch. Which one are you talking
His
about?
his very last one.
Wasn't he, like, super drunk during?
Oh, he looked. I mean, he's so old. Like, dude, just stop, please. It wasn't good. But anyways, so that was top 3. That was a pretty good one, right? I like that one. That was fun. So all right. Well, Dean, glad to have you back. Yeah. No.
Good to be back. I don't know if you're waiting for a response there.
No. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening, tuning into this week's episode. Comment the order you would put that stuff in. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. Remember, say hi.
I'm sure they'll comment the order.
Yeah. We'll get into the Facebook comments next week because there were a couple more that came in.
Some good ones.
I'm gonna find out. Yeah. And remember to hit the like and subscribe button and come back next week for another captivating episode of the BDE Sports Talk podcast. Everyone, have a great week.
Sports Life.